A lot of big challenges in Ukraine, so we're going to say some Tehillim together, just a little prayer. Chapter 20 of Psalms, we're going to say it together. I see Esther has already a Tehillim over there already, so we're good. And so I'm going to say it together. Tehillim. Put on my hat for a second. Lam natzeh yaf mizmor David yan chadim tzari yisagef Hashem Yaakov yishchezcha mikoy d'chem tziysadeka yisukom nechasecha v'las chidash nisela yitnecha v'vecha v'chalatzos chiyimalei now neshuvasecha v'shem l'nidge yimal ednei k'mashalasecha ati yadaiti ki yeshia nemeshich enesh mekoshe gvuras yeshi minei Elo v'rechev elo v'asusim v'nachdu shem l'naske Ein makar when a follow and achmakam mesaydad nayashiyam elchaneinu v'yem kareinu. So may Hashem have Rachmanas and all these people over there that are refugees now and hiding in basements, and children and orphans and all kinds of things going on now. It's really like it's very, very hard to see places being bombarded, Babi Yar being hit by a missile, and I mean it's just like. For Jews, especially flashbacks for our past, our history, but all the people of Ukraine, Hashem should bless them all. And it should be an end to all this nonsense of the world, Like we thought we were in trouble with COVID, and now look at this, right? Sometimes man-made problems could be greater. Anyhow, so let's continue with our learning and the merit of our Torah study. If everyone has a moment to later on after the class to give a little money in the tzedakah box, and also we said a little prayer in the merit of Torah, tefillah, and tzedakah, we should be able to bring our requests, our pleas up high. And Hashem should spare humanity, spare all the world, especially the Jewish people. Okay, so we're gonna start now. Our class, we were learning all the mitzvahs, 630 mitzvahs, but especially we were learning the mitzvahs right now that are associated with the end of life. And those mitzvahs are many. We learned about visiting the sick. We learned about the confessional prayers. We learned about the funeral. We learned about the eulogies. We learned about the honor and dignity we give to the body at the end. We learned about the levaya, escorting the body. We learned many, many mitzvahs. Today we're going to speak about that which happens thereafter. Last week we even started speaking about Kaddish. We spoke about the Hamakom Yenachem Etchem. We spoke at great length about that particular prayer that's said in the Shiva house. Today we're going to speak about the concept of Shiva, Shloshim, and the year. There's by Jewish people, nothing happens right away. Everything is gradual phases. We have a period called the Shiva, 7-day period. And then we have another period called the 30-day period after a person passes away or mourning. And then you have the period of the 11 months in the year. So there's like a full year of so what is this all about? Why are there all these periods? And most people think that it's more about rehabilitation for the living, which is correct. It's gradually the survivors need to rehabilitate themselves. So the Torah did it so in a very wise way. First there's the funeral, then you go home, and then the 7 days you sit in the house, and then another 30 days, a little bit more less severe, but still intense in the morning, and then you for a year you sort of rehabilitate yourself and comfort yourself and be able to get on with living. But this is a Kabbalah class, so we're going to speak a little bit more about the mystical side of all these things. That's what we generally try to give you in this class, is not just to know the obvious, but also to give you a little bit what's beneath the surface. And basically, we are when we go through all these periods of the 7-day period, the 30-day period, the year, these are all reflective of the journey of the soul. So after a person dies, their soul, the soul leaves the body, and it goes to heaven, and it reaches its final peace in heaven. So we, out of respect to the soul, we sort of live along while the soul is going through all these, it's sort of a period of extrication from the body, and also a period of reaching a peace. Reaching, like we always say the expression, may the soul rest in peace. What does that mean when we say may the soul rest in peace? Because the soul goes through a little bit of turbulence, journey. It's like when you fly a plane, before you get to your destination, your final destination, there are many, many levels of the journey, many levels of going through different phases of the journey. And so when you go somewhere, it's not so simple. You have to pack, you have to take your bags with you, and you go to the airport, and finally get to the airport, you have to go through customs, and you have to go through all the different authorities you go through, and you need to put away your packages and the baggage, and it's not posh. Then you can finally after they check you for COVID, and today there's so many different steps, and they check you for to make sure you're not a security threat. You're able to finally get on the plane, and then you get on the plane and you fly there. It's a whole thing. And finally you land, and then you get off. It's also not simple. Nothing is simple today traveling, right? But the soul also, when it goes from this world to the next world, it goes through a journey. And that journey is reflected in the way we do our different things. And so we try to help the soul in its journey. We try to make it easier for the soul. Right? Almost like you would, when somebody leaves your house, you pack some bags for them, you give them something to eat to take on the journey, right? You do things for the person that's on the trip. You call them up, even if they've left the house. You give them a call and say everything okay. We're thinking about you. We don't forget about, right? And we try to help them. So sometimes there's a problem at the airport with the customs. They call up the house and they ask, you have a copy of my document. We try to keep a connection, and we try to help a person that's traveling throughout their journey, almost in the same way we try to help the soul as it goes through its journey. And the soul, when it goes through its journey, there is what's known as a period of exchange, a period of transitional period, which one transitional period is a 7-day period, then there's a 30-day period, there's 11 months, and the year, until the soul reaches its perfect peace and it arrives in its final destination. So, but we, the survivors, the remainders in this world, we try to help the soul to make that trip easier. And our sages and their infinite wisdom, the Torah and its infinite wisdom from God, it tells us what are the things we can do to make that journey easier for the soul. And one of the things that the Talmud tells us, that we have a way of helping the soul in through its judgment. The soul, as we know, goes up to heaven, and it is judged based on the good deeds that it's done in its life. And as we discussed a little bit before, that going to heaven is a bit of a transformation, because the soul is a piece of God, and the soul may have been soiled a little bit in this world, and it needs to be cleansed from the dirt. The soul may have accumulated in its years in the body, and may have done some things which were improper. So the soul needs to be extricated from that as well. It needs to be cleansed from that. So the soul goes through a period of cleansing. Now, many people ask, do Jews believe in hell? I always get that question, Rabbi, do Jews believe? Because they know, and it's many other religions, hell is like a big thing. I tell them, hell by us is not such a big thing. We believe in hell, but it's not the main thing. It's not like the big obsession in life. Bothers me a lot of times. Jews will tell you, you better not do that, because if you do that, you're going to burn in hell, right? First of all, we have to understand that hell is not it's not a cholent pot. It's not a big fire with the angels come. The angels come and they take you with the pitchforks. They turn you over, make you crusty, and there's nothing to worry about as far as that goes, because the soul is not a body, so it doesn't have any physical pain. So there's no such thing. But we do believe that what is hell Hell for Jews is a period of time which the soul needs to go through some cleansing. And that cleansing can sometimes be spiritually, emotionally painful. One wants to look at it to say, when you see, they say they flash your whole life in front of you and they show you what you could have been, what your potential would have been. And you become remorseful for that because you say, I could have done that. And they flash your whole life in front of you and you see and you look at it and you say, sometimes we hope that never happens because we don't want to see some parts again. But it's being cleansed. Our soul, as we say, what is a soul? A soul is a piece of God. Piece of God with an individual piece of it. It has a personality. The soul has intellect and emotions and all that, but it needs to be cleansed before it can reach its peace. So the people down here in this world, we have the ability to help the soul while it goes through that traumatic sort of exchange, that traumatic transition. We need to help it. It's looking to us to help us. The Talmud gives a very, very important line where it says that children or relatives, that the survivors can actually help the dead. And they look to us to help them because we know that life, you come down to this world and God gives you you get a deposit book and you get in this world a withdrawal book, a checkbook, right? So in life, what do we deposit? In all of life, we are depositing the good deeds that we do in life. Those are the mitzvahs. And we withdraw blessings from Hashem. We get blessings, we get good things that we take out from it. So, but we have to constantly, in life, we have to make deposits. And after a person passes away, you've made all your deposits. You've done so many good deeds in your life. And you're judged based on those good deeds. But there's always room for a little bit more. So we say that the good deeds, you can add to the list of good deeds by bra mezaka lavuha. The living can give good deeds to the dead. It's a concept of transferring, like dividends that the soul can take from those that love the soul, especially children. Children have a very, very great power to give the parents credit, because we get credit, the good deeds we do gives credit to the parents, because they look in heaven, they say, wow, these people, they brought such good kids in the world, or they have students, great students, or they have great people, friends whom they've impacted. So all those people, all your proteges in life, all the people that you've impacted, or let's say you're involved in a charity and you help people out, or you helped out orphans or sick people. Those people, the deeds they do, go back to you. That's called dividends. You get dividends from the good deeds you've done. So let's say you helped someone in your life, you gave them medicine, or you gave them good health, and you were able to help a person to live. So that person is here in this world because of you, in a way, right? So when they do good deeds, those good deeds go back to you. But primarily it says it's with kids, with children. A child can give credit to the parent. So you make all your deposits in life, you put all your good deeds. But now after 120, you can you can give those credits to them. So we come to this world, our whole life we're trying to do good deeds. Sometimes we get distracted a bit. There's a story of a guy that came to an island, and he was shipwrecked on an island. He was going on a journey, a nice trip, and he gets shipwrecked on an island. And he loses contact with anyone from anywhere. So he says he's there, he wakes up, he was going on a mission to go find diamonds, and he wakes up on this island shipwrecked, And he gives a look, and he wakes up and he thinks he's like dreaming. He sees all around him, all over the beach, diamonds everywhere. There's precious gems everywhere, strewn all over the beach. And he takes them, puts them in his pocket. He's like so excited. He went on this trip. He doesn't know where he is because he was shipwrecked. But hey, he found as much diamond as he needed. This was a very isolated island somewhere in the Pacific or somewhere, I don't know where. And he's stuck, and he goes to the center of town, and he sees there's a town, there's a civilization there. And he comes there, and he sees there's a nice restaurant. So he says, no problem. I got all these diamonds in my pocket. I'll drop a few diamonds off to them. So he goes into the restaurant, and he orders, give me your best meal, gives the best steaks, the best everything. He orders, they'll give me, what do you have? What's today's menus? They say, yeah, well, this, that. He said, give me your most expensive menu. What do you have? The best fish, the best caviar, everything. And they give him beautiful meal, everything. And he eats all of it. And then afterwards they say, no, payment. So he pulls out from his pocket, drops a few diamonds. He says, here, take a diamond, anyone you want. The waiter starts to laugh. He says, what do you mean? He says, diamonds? We have so many diamonds on this island. Nobody considers them anything. So, like, how do you, so diamonds are they're worthless here. There's so many diamonds, nothing. You need to pay with the currency of our island. What's the currency in this island? I tell them the currency in our island is a chicken schmaltz. If you have chicken schmaltz, it's a rarity here on this island. You pay with chicken schmaltz. Give us a little cup of chicken schmaltz, and that's the way we pay over here. Chicken schmaltz, he says, that's garbage. It's nothing. Who needs chicken schmaltz? They said, no, this island, that's diamonds on, nothing. On our island, chicken schmaltz is what's important, right? They say, you don't have any money? Go to the back. You're gonna work in the washing dishes until you pay up with this expensive meal you just ate. So he goes work in the back. He doesn't know what hit him. He's working in the dishes in the back. But he's a smart guy. And he worked a couple of days there, and they liked him, and he started working the dishes there. Then he bought a restaurant himself. He became a guy in charge, and he started a business. He started making a lot of chicken schmaltz. Jewish guy, good head. He started making chicken schmaltz. He was raking in the chicken schmaltz. And he turned around, and in the course of a couple of months, he was a smart guy. He became a big businessman, and he collected lots of. Then he reminded himself, what's about, this family? They forgot about him. He left them, who knows where. And one day, a ship came to the island, and they asked the ship, where are they from? And they said that they're coming from that country where he came from, a place. It happened to be from the same city he was from. So can I come with you? They said, no, not really, but if you want, we can send a message to the family. So he says, send a message to my family that I'm doing very well, and I'm coming back. And goes by another few months, and he builds himself a few ships himself because he has so much money, so much schmaltz. And he lets his family know that he's going to come, and he's going to come with all his wealth. Anyway, so they make a time and a day, and he's the most famous guy on this island. He fills up a few ships of chicken schmaltz, and he makes his way back to his old city, at least in Europe. And he comes back, and the whole family is waiting. They're all dressed up in their nicest because their father's coming, and he's coming in. And as he's coming in over there, there's a whiff. Everybody smells something stinks. It smells. It's the chicken schmaltz is coming into the port, and there's ships over there. He comes out, and he's so excited. His family, well, what's the smell? And he says, you won't believe it. He says, I went off and I made the most money for all of you guys. So where's your money? He said, there in the ships. What's in there? Chicken schmaltz. So chicken schmaltz, chicken schmaltz is worthless. What's this? It's nothing. Oh, he reminded himself. He went for diamonds. And he liked it so much of the island, he got so involved in the chicken schmaltz that he started collecting it and making, and he thought this was the new currency. And when he reminded himself what happened, he fainted. And the family woke him up, and he fainted again, because he reminded himself, like, he was working all this time, and he all he did was collect shikashmalts. And he could have brought diamonds, but he happened to be wearing the same suit that he wore when he arrived. And when he woke up the third time, he put his hand in his pocket, and he realized, oh, he has a few diamonds. But a handful of diamonds he left in his pocket. Those diamonds was enough to make him excited. So one of the great rabbis told this story as a mashal. It's an allegory. It's a parable. It's a parable, very famous parable of our life down here. We come down to this world and the soul is up in the heavens. Hashem tells it, your job is go down and do a lot of mitzvahs, help a lot of people. You know, do the 613 mitzvahs, the 10 commandments, 613. You could do every day. You could do mitzvahs. There's so many good deeds to do. So they come down to this world, and they come to do good deeds, and they come to do the mitzvahs, the 613. Soul knows that's his mission. It comes down here, and the people over here say, "What are you coming with mitzvahs? Over here, we want chicken schmaltz. Over here, it's about how much silver and gold and show off and houses and estates and ships and yachts. That's what's important. Forget about your mitzvahs. That's the old country." And so we fall into the schmaltz group. We fall into the schmaltz trap, we call it, right? We all start collecting schmaltz. We start building houses and then collecting money and cars and all these things. And then after 120, we come up in the heavens. What do we got to show? Remind us of, we're collecting chicken schmaltz the whole life when we should have been collecting the diamonds. We come up there and they ask, what do you have to show for yourself? Look at all my ships. Look at all the ships filled with the schmaltz. They say it smells. It's rotten onions. It's nothing. Up here we need diamonds. And then you put your hand in your pocket and you realize, I did it from the beginning over there. I did a few good mitzvahs. I did it. Pull out, there's another dime. Pull out a few diamonds that you did along the way. But then you say to yourself, so I have a few diamonds. I did good. But only if I would have, should have, could have done so many good things in the life, I would have spent my time more on that than the other thing. I would spend my time more on mitzvahs than on schmaltz. Things would have been so different. So we have to never lose focus. So when we come up there, we should have diamonds. We have diamonds. We have good deeds. We show that and we go with that. It says when the soul comes up to heaven, the good deeds, they run in front of you. The angels, the good angels. In the Kabbalah, it says every good deed we do creates a positive angel. And every negative deed we do creates a negative angel. So we hope we have more of those positive angels than the negative ones. When we come up there, we have to show the good deeds. So we put our hands in our pocket and we come out with some good deeds we've done in our lives. Hashem says, beautiful. Those are wonderful mitzvahs. But I hope you have at least a few more. So the parents say, I look down on the earth. My kids, they're doing some good stuff too. My proteges, my family, my friends, they're doing mitzvahs for me too. And they can continue to do mitzvahs for you in the course of that time, that those mitzvahs act in favor of the person that's up there. It creates positive energy, positive light. You point down to the earth and you say, look at them. They're my product. And so, there are merits that are given posthumously to the soul. That's one of the big reasons why there is such a big talk about saying Kaddish. Why we say Kaddish. And why do we do mitzvahs for the deceased in the course of the year? Those are all things we do for the soul to help it in its journey. And that we need to give to the soul. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Kaddish and some of the other mitzvahs, because they're all great mitzvahs that are done. But we know that Kaddish, there is stories in the Talmud of how Kaddish helped the deceased. There's a story of Rabbi Akiva, one of the great Jewish rabbis, who was walking in the cemetery. And he's walking through the cemetery. He was visiting somebody, I guess. And Rabbi Akiva was a very spiritual. He saw a soul coming into the cemetery, and the soul looked very troubled. It says the soul looked like burnt, whatever. Right? The soul looked very, very down. And Rabbi Akiva looks at the soul and says, "Why are you so down?" He says, "I don't have enough merits to help me get into heaven." He says, "I wasn't such a good person in my life. In fact, I was a person that I was a thief for a while, and then I would hang out. I would hang out with women, and the soul says, and in fact, I even had a child in one town that I don't even know what the child is, kind of. So this guy was a troublemaker. He was a guy that never really amounted to much in his life. So Rabbi Akiva says, "Hold on, I think I can help you. You had a child, you said." He says, "I had a child, but I don't even know who the child is and where they are. I know that the child was born in this town to this woman. Now he's an orphan." And so Akiva said, "1 second, I'm going to try to help you." So Saul said, "Oh, thank you so much." So it says that Rabbi Akiva went to that town, and he found the woman, because the guy gave the name of the woman, and he found the child. And he went to the child. Child was an orphan. Child had no father now. And he went over to him, and he said to the child, "You can help your father that passed away a little while ago." And he revealed to him about this whole episode, and he told to the child, he said, I don't think he was even bar mitzvah. He said, you can say some prayers for your father in the course of the year, and it will help him. And it says that he taught him the Kaddish. He brought him to shul, this young boy, and he trained him to say Kaddish. And he says that they taught him to say Kaddish for that year. And afterwards, Rabbi Akiva, it says, was back in the cemetery again, visiting. And again, he ran to the soul, to the same soul. But this time, the soul was smiling. He asked the soul, "Why are you smiling today?" He says, "Rabbi Akiva, I don't know what you did, but you brought me so many merits. In the merit of my son, my little orphan son, who I didn't even know, in the merit of him saying Kaddish, I was given entry to heaven." So this is a medrash. It's a story that's in Gemara, whatever. It's a story that's brought down, and from that story, because it's thousands of years old, the story of Rabbi Akiva, that's the basis. Kaddish is a prayer actually that predates Rabbi Akiva, obviously, but the fact that mourners say Kaddish, and that's a merit for the soul, comes from this story, the story of Rabbi Akiva, of how he found that a mourner saying that particular prayer. It was an elevation for the soul. It helped the soul posthumously, and so it became the custom and tradition. Is ready. Rabbi Akiva lived 2,000 years ago. Rabbi Akiva, he passed away, I think, in the year about 120 A.D. 120. That's when Rabbi Akiva passed away. So ever since then, orphans have been saying Kaddish. If you give a look in the Siddur, you see there's certain Kaddishim. Some are the Kaddish for the Chazan, some are for the Kaddish for the rabbinical Kaddish. But then there's what says mourners Kaddish. The mourners read the Kaddish. So the Kaddish is one of the ways. It's one way of many. A lot of people ask me about women that they don't say Kaddish, or they come to shul, but officially they don't say Kaddish. So what But I said, Kaddish is just one way that you can memorialize, that you can give merits. There's many other mitzvahs you can do to give merits to the soul. It's not just Kaddish alone. Kaddish is important, but it's not the only thing. And so through the Kaddish and through all the mitzvahs we do that year, we are able to give these merits, more diamonds, so to speak, for the soul, to help it in its period of transition into the heaven. Okay, this is the class for today. But we continue more. I have a lot more to say about this subject, and I'm not going to be able to finish 1 week. I'm going to take another week on that. And if anybody has any questions, please, you're welcome to ask.
Thank you, Rabbi. As usual, very interesting.
Anybody? Questions? Anyone? Huh?
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom,
I have a question.
Esther.
Shabbat shalom.
Esther has a question.
You mentioned besides Kaddish, other things that we can do for the merit of one. Can you mention?
What the mitzvahs are? There's all the 613 mitzvahs, but there are certain,
That we do.
if we do it in their honor, that goes back to them.
Thank you.
Okay. Very
Thank you.
good. Okay, we'll talk. Take care, everybody.
That
Thank you.
answered my question.
Huh? Question?
That answered my question too.
I'll answer your question, Baruch Hashem. Okay. Okay. I'll tell you some more mitzvahs next week. Okay, take care.
Okay.
Talk.
Take
Bye,
care.
everyone.
Bye.